and Burger King and Wendy's, and the beef has had hormone injections, then that child essentially are getting hormone injections.
Yes.
So they're maturing faster. And that was a study done at Baylor University about a decade ago. So what we eat today is a contributor to colon cancer. That's my bottom line.
Yes.
Because what we now call food, we don't have control of again. In fact, we don't even know where our food comes from. I taught a class, and a young woman was telling me that she liked Chick-fil-A and another popular chicken restaurant, and I said, well, what? She said, I like chicken fingers. And I said, well, that's just chicken breast. Do you know? She said, no, I don't want chicken breast. I want chicken fingers. And I'm saying, you think a chicken has fingers?
Right.
She had no idea preparation is what gave its name. So I'm just saying, okay, so you want chicken fingers. You don't want chicken breast. Okay. A comedian was talking from Spanish, Central America, and he was talking about they eat the tongue or the muscular part of bovine. And many Americans would say, tongue, oh, it's in a cow's mouth, it's so nasty. Well, here's what he said. He says, they refer, we call different cuts other names, that if you have a certain cut of beef, they say steak. Or filet mignon. They don't say a cut of the rump or the cut of the shoulder. They give it a name. So you're removed from the idea of an animal. You're just eating filet mignon. So when he said tongue and the person reacted, oh, eating the tongue in a cow's mouth, he says, so I prepared her some eggs. Now, why is that funny? Where does an egg come from? It comes out of the butt of a chicken. It's the same opening that the chicken drops its fecal material. So if you eat an egg that comes out of the butt of a chicken and don't think about it, but you didn't want to eat a tongue that was in the mouth of a cow.
Yes.
So that's how far removed we are from understanding where our food comes from. So I think the response to the caller is, yes, how we prepare food is important. But now we're at a point that we don't know what it is we're eating. You think it's a food. When you go in the grocery store, if you're buying, 10 pounds of ribs, you don't know how the animal was raised. If it was injected with hormones, growth, artificial stuff, you don't know because you didn't farm it.
You didn't farm it.
So I think that's a contributor as well to increase in colon cancers. We're eating non-foods. We're eating the chemicals that preserve the food. We're eating the chemicals that made the animal grow faster. So, yeah, it's a lot more to it, I think, than just cooking of the food. It is, what is it we're calling food?
What do we call it? Yes. Carly, you have a question or a comment?
Yes. Good afternoon, sisters. It's a great show that you're giving and imparting some very pertinent information. On the question of health, my question is, I have friends of mine that concentrate on nutritional eating and how to eat healthy. And they recommend stores like Natural Foods or Whole Foods. Would you think that the food is relatively different, or would it be the same for profit? That's my question.
Excellent question. The problem is the labels that food get are given to them by the FDA, Food and Drug Administration. And if the FDA were credible, if it were a real deal, if it did its job, there would be a difference. Yes, you would be getting some food that did not get exposure to pesticides. We would be getting foods that were not genetically modified. But the FDA has been bought. The last president of the FDA was the CEO of a chemical company. So if you were running a chemical company, Dow Chemical or Monsanto, and now you're looking out over people's foods,
yes,
you can excuse, you can allow, you can put rules in place where you can say, oh, we can do GMO, which, by the way, is genetically modified. And in Europe, GMO is not allowed. Canada does not allow. In America, we're about 80% GMO. If you are buying any kind of oils like canola oil, anything short of olive oil, you are getting a modified, because the soybean is modified. So anything made from soy product is a GMO product. We have GMO for potatoes. Look at our watermelon. If you bought a watermelon lately and it didn't have seeds in it, you're eating a GMO watermelon. Because Mother Nature puts seeds in her fruit.
Yes.
So genetically modified mean I went in the lab and I created the offspring without benefit of a seed. So in America, we are heavily GMO. So to answer your question, caller, organic designation, or when they say Whole Foods, depends on who put the stamp on it. If it were a stamp from the Food and Drug Administration, they are bought, and they can be bought.
Yes, indeed.
So unless you're growing it in your own garden, you don't know what you're eating.
Yes, yes. And another law that Louisiana governor has implemented is the good time law. At one time, if you done 80% of your time, you were going to like receive time cut, so that, you know, and a lot of inmates, men and women, they would make sure that there was no write-up, because I mean, a write-up, you could get a write-up for having
For making a guard band.
oh yeah, or looking the wrong way.
Yeah, it didn't have to be a legitimate reason. It just,
Right.
you know, I can actually be spiteful on you and write you up.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
There's nothing governing that if I write it up and turn it in, it's regarded as truth because the guard is right.
Yeah, the God is right. and so by him taking that away, that means thousands of men and women here in Louisiana was getting out at one particular date. Now they're like,
Well, I think good time was if you served up to 60% of whatever the sentence was. Now you're eligible to be let out early if you have accrued good time. I think the way the law is written now, you have to mandatory do 80% of whatever. So if I sentence you to 15 years, you could be out in 7 if you had some good time. But if you got 15 years now, you will do a minimum of 12 before they even consider. So, 12 to 15, you got a window of 3 years that you might get some good time, but you're going to do a minimum of 80%. So it's a longer stretch. And what that translates, if someone's wanting to say, so what? It translates into enslavement. As long as you are incorporated, according to the 14th Amendment, people in America are free except if they have been indicted. Now that's in the Constitution. So the penal system, or the carceral system as it's referred to, you are the property of the state. Just ask New Iberia.
yes, indeed.
If you're in New Iberia, the way in which they treat you is very much like they did enslavement. And that leads us to what we were going to talk about when you say American laws for blacks versus whites and human rights. And when we say that, what comes to mind is Sonia Massey.
Yes, yes.
Now, as those of you are aware, this was a black female who called 911 thinking she'd heard a intruder outside. And I've listened to several versions where the family have called and asked for help because she had some kind of mental issues.
Yes.
And even her mother called and said, do not send a prejudiced cop to her house. Don't hurt her.
The mother said that.
Mother said this.
Yeah.
And then the next day, a white police deputy went to her house, shot her in the face while she stood in her kitchen. And the medical, I read something where they were saying that the medical examiner said the angle of the shooting, she was lower than the shooter, implying she might have been kneeling when she was shot. So he has been charged with murder. He has been discharged from the force, and they're trying to get the chief of police also to step down because they said the history for this particular police department is so ugly in Illinois that they really have no way to. What's your defense? You've already had families say this is someone. Why not send out a community worker? In a lot of places, when you have money, they will send out someone, a victim's advocate, to come and be with the family.
When you, we get right back to caller. You have a question or a comment? Your own.
Yes, I had a question. I wasn't sure if we had translated the show to now we're talking about the laws in the state, or are we still talking about the food and the Food and Drug Administration?
Okay, well, you could.
Whatever your question, sir,
right.
we'll answer the question.
Excuse me?
Whatever is your question, we will answer.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I stayed germane to the topic, that's all. Because I had a comment about the food, but when you switched to the laws, I had a question about that too, and a comment. So I had, I'm a technologist, and I study and analyze and transfer, buy and sell data. And recently, I'm familiar with the laws in the state of Louisiana. That's where I'm from. What we did recently, this was like a week and a half ago, because I'm an advocate of fighting against algorithm bias in the technological world. That is when the artificial intelligence is Ku Klux Klan, to put it mildly. And it's a serious phenomenon. It's not being talked about enough. So that's my platform. But anyway, we did so that I would not seem biased myself, because the way I came up and raised was, my father was pro-black. I grew up a Muslim, and so I didn't want to be biased, because it might sound biased if I gave my opinion. So we allowed the artificial intelligence to analyze the 2025 agenda for the Republican Party. That way, the system, the artificial intelligence would do it, and it's unbiased. So after a critical analysis with the artificial intelligence, what came out was that it said that this plan would increase and intensify for the already marginalized group, would further increase their marginalization. So that was clear and cut, that the artificial intelligence was unbiased and specifically stating the group. So it only left who are the marginalized now. And that was easy to answer for the whole group, in terms of, just a true study of what's going on in America. So those that are already at the bottom of the economic totem pole, or minorities, that this plan would further marginalize them, which is kind of scary when you think about it. And so, particularly Louisiana laws, a state that leads the world, not the country, and incarceration has intensified, just like what the plan was planned to do, to intensify the area or the percentage that is already marginalized. If Louisiana already leads the world, the whole planet in incarceration, this which you women are talking about right now is a direct result of that. 80% of your sentence. That's making matters worse and harder to get out, or going back to a slavery. And I always say, this is my personal opinion, that in America, if a lot of states with the minimum wage has not surpassed a $10 bill, and the premise of slavery is what? Free labor, then we were already being marginalized in the first place. But my question was, does your group, this is about the food now, does your group possess any data or platform of people who have access to privately owned farmland or agriculture? Because me myself, I have some.
Wait,
I'm
caller.
sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Okay.
caller. Let me interrupt you for a few seconds. We're about to wrap up this part of the first hour, and we are coming back on with the second hour. So please do call back, but we have to like run the credits and everything. And when you call back the second hour, because the second hour is from,
Well, I was listening, so yes, you can complete your question, please do, and we will respond to your concerns. And I appreciate your intelligence in seeing all of this. So we look forward to talking